Robyn, David.
Nice to meet you.
Hey.
How long have you guys been? 2 months?
We've known each other for a bit. Yeah.
Been dating?
A month and a half.
Month and a half, almost 2 months.
Got it. One word. One word that would alter the way millions of fans perceive the dynamic between two of the most discussed women in reality TV history. The word? Unsafe. When Meri Brown appeared for her latest interview, nobody anticipated she would use such a charged, potent, and dramatic term to define her relationship. Or more accurately, her non-relationship with Kody Brown. For years, Sister Wives fans have speculated, argued, and parsed the drama between these two women. But now we have proof direct from Meri herself. She and Kody aren't just cold to each other. They are finished. And yet, what makes this news so dramatic is the manner in which Meri conveyed it. Calm, measured, not angry, not bitter. She did not shout. She did not insult. Instead, she said, almost matter-of-factly, that Kody is not safe for her emotionally, and she doesn't intend to have her in her life. Stop for a second and let that sink in. Not safe. She didn't say, we don't get along. She didn't say, we're not friends. She said, unsafe. Fans were floored. Because in that instant, Meri made it starkly clear that there is no turning back from the hurt, the distrust, and the decades of built-up baggage. But how did we arrive here? To comprehend this turning point, we need to go back. We need to revisit the beginning of Sister Wives, when Meri was the first wife, the first woman in Kody Brown's polygamist household. She established the foundation. She bore the emotional burden of being the first wife. And then, down the line, new wives came. And with each new wife came jealousy, resentment, rules, boundaries, and emotional combat that played out both behind closed doors and in front of millions of people. Kody's cheerful personality soon won over the hearts of fans everywhere. She smiled. She laughed. She joked. But behind that cheery surface, tension with Meri was brewing. Old clips show Kody mocking Meri for only having one child. Kody even admitted in an old tell-all, now scrubbed from the internet, that she once told Meri she hoped she didn't get pregnant. Imagine hearing that from your so-called sister wife. So when Kody released her memoir, she didn't hold back. Page by page, she wrote about her problems, her hurt, and yes, her conflicts with Meri. Kody positioned herself as the underdog, the warrior who beat Kody and a poisonous marriage. And the fans flocked to her, celebrating her autonomy. But here's the surprise, Meri wouldn't play along. During her interview, when questioned about Kody's bitter words, Meri did not clap back. She didn't slander Kody. She just told her that she has no interest in being pursued by her, and that it's not healthy, that it's not safe, for her to do so. And that silence? That not talking? That's where the drama is even more intriguing. Because everybody wants the tea. Everybody wants the fight. Everybody wants Meri to return daggers to Kody. But Meri didn't. Rather, she established a boundary, one very real boundary, that left the world wondering, what did happen between these two women that caused their relationship to go from strained to eternally broken? And most astonishing of all? Meri confessed that the feeling is reciprocated. Kody feels it, too. They don't detest one another, but they'll never be friends. Not today, not tomorrow, never. But here's the question I'd like to ask you. Do you think Meri when she says there's too much water under the bridge? Or do you think that one day, possibly years from now, these two women can put the past behind them? Let me know your opinions in the comments. Because what we're uncovering here isn't just more reality TV drama. This is years of mistrust, jealousy, taunts, hurt, and unspoken secrets finally spilling out into the open. And if you think Meri's cool-headed measured reply was that it, you're wrong. Because the adjective she used, unsafe, pops open a whole new level of secrets about how Kody is behind the scenes. We're going to unpack exactly what Meri meant by labeling Kody unsafe. What is so heavy about that word? What's the history behind it that makes it so creepy? And does it say something much darker about Kody's past actions than fans ever knew? Watch this space. You don't want to miss what's coming up. When Meri Brown called Kody unsafe, fans around the world froze. It wasn't just another offhand comment. It wasn't said in anger or on a whim. It was deliberate, measured, and it had a weight that shocked the Sister Wives universe. Because let's be honest, how many times do you hear one woman call another woman unsafe? Not difficult. Not complicated. Not even toxic. She said, unsafe. That word, and only that word, and everything changes. Unsafe doesn't just mean uncomfortable. Dangerous means unpredictable. Dangerous means you don't know what you're going to get with them. Dangerous means being around them might be risking your mental and emotional health. So what did Meri mean by it, then? To comprehend, we need to recall history between these two ladies. Christine has grinned for cameras for years. She's laughed, joked, presented herself as the bubbly, happy-go-lucky sister wife. But behind closed doors, she admitted herself, occasionally, she would be nice to someone's face and then go behind their back. Consider that for a moment. How do you establish trust within a family knowing the person smiling in your face may very well be talking about you 10 minutes down the road? For Meri, that was life. Christine wasn't merely a bubbly personality. She was the one who mocked her for having a single child. Who teased her about her pain. Who made fun of her boundaries when she established rules in her own home. And here's the clincher, Christine has even admitted some of this herself. She admitted, in her own words, that she once said to Meri that she hoped she wouldn't get pregnant. Can you picture the destruction of hearing that, particularly when infertility and isolation were already such open sores for Meri? So when Meri tells us Christine is not safe, it's not talking about physical danger. It's talking about emotional danger. It's talking about trust. It's talking about being able to be vulnerable, share your heart, and have faith that it won't be turned on you later. And Meri made it crystal clear, with Christine, that safety is non-existent. And here's where things get even more complicated. Christine, on her book and in interviews, has no hesitation criticizing Meri. She's depicted her as harsh, controlling, even cruel. Fans have rallied to Christine's defense, branding her as the brave one who broke free from Kody and stood up for herself. But in all of that, has Christine ever taken responsibility for her part in blowing up her marriage to Meri? Not really. Meri, however, has been unflinching about her own shortcomings. She's acknowledged she can be brutal. She's acknowledged she's wrestled with jealousy. She's acknowledged she's yelled, screamed, and shouted things during fits of anger. She doesn't deny it. She does not sugarcoat anything. And yet, even after owning up to her mistakes, she's still the one with the reputation of being the villain. So question yourself, is it fair? Is it fair that Christine can smile, laugh, and wag fingers, never actually looking in the mirror? Is it fair that Meri is deemed unsafe by fans, when actually it's she who says she feels unsafe around Christine? Let me explain it this way. If you had someone in your life who made fun of your hurt, who laughed at your efforts, who smiled to your face but talked trash behind your back, would you be comfortable around them? Or would you, like Meri, at long last draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough? Which is why Meri's words hit such a chord. Because it wasn't about being petty. It wasn't about jealousy. It wasn't about scorekeeping. It was about finally being able to say, out loud, that this relationship is unhealthy. It's not good. It's not safe. And she won't pretend otherwise just to keep fans or producers happy. And yet, here's the twist, Christine agrees. She's expressed herself as saying that she doesn't feel safe with Meri. She doesn't want Meri in her life. So it's mutual. Two women, parallel truths, each certain the other cannot be trusted. That leaves us with one chilling assumption, the harm between Meri and Christine is irreversible. But if unsafe is such a loaded term, why didn't Meri continue? Why didn't she provide examples? Why didn't she call Christine out with specifics? Was she hiding behind Christine? Hiding behind herself? Or is there something even deeper that she refuses to reveal publicly? We're diving straight into the battle of silence versus exposure. Christine has written a tell-all book, aired her side, and made sure her version of the story is known. But Meri? She's holding back. Why? What is she protecting, and who is she protecting? Stay tuned, because Christine's book and Meri's silence are two sides of a war that will never cease. There are two sides of the story in every family feud. But what do you do when one side writes an entire book while the other side remains silent, refusing to spill the beans? That's where we are with the Christine versus Meri battle. On one side, you have Christine Brown. Bold. Fearless. Determined to take back her story after all the years living in Kody's reality. In her book, she exposed it all, her humps, her embarrassments, her jealousy, and, yes, her acrimonious history with Meri. And then there's Meri Brown. Quiet. Calculated. Speaking carefully. Refusing to fight fire with fire Christine style. And that quiet? It says more than Christine's book ever would. When Christine's book came out, her fans were eager to purchase it, read it, and highlight every word regarding Meri. Christine stated that Meri was cruel, critical, and cold. She wrote of being abused. She positioned herself as the woman who suffered through years of emotional wars until she just left. And let's get real, Christine can sell it. She framed herself as the every woman, the survivor, the one who escaped an abusive marriage. It was a story people wanted to believe, and they took it on without hesitation. But here's the twist, Meri did not clap back. She did not write her own book. She did not go on Instagram live roasting Christine's reputation. She did not drag Christine in the dirt like Christine dragged her. Rather, Meri uttered one chilling sentence, Christine is not safe for me. That's all. No book. No 3-hour tell-all. Just one sentence. And let's stop here. Because this is where the tension goes through the roof. Christine gave details. She gave examples. She threw darts and named names. But Meri gave nothing, except a phrase that makes us question what actually happened. If Christine was lying, why wouldn't Meri stand up for herself? If Christine was outright lying, then why would Meri not clarify the matter? If Christine was speaking the entire truth, then why wouldn't Meri confess? Her silence implies something far more deliberate. Meri is aware of something that she is not disclosing. She has receipts. She has her side of the story. But she is not sharing it. Not yet. And it brings an enormous question with it. What is Meri covering up? Is she defending her own peace, not revisiting old wounds? Is she defending the Brown family brand by keeping certain skeletons in the closet to avoid destroying whatever unity remains? Or is she defending Christine, refusing to expose her flaws because, secretly, she doesn't wish to play dirty? Fans are torn. Some argue that Meri's silence is strength, that she's refusing to stoop to Christine's level. Others see it as weakness, proof that Christine's version is the only version. But let's be honest. If Meri ever decided to open up, really open up, the fallout would be massive. Because if Christine's book gave us drama, Meri's truth could very well expose the darker, hidden layers of the Brown family that fans have only guessed at. And maybe that's why Meri refuses to speak. Because once those secrets come out, there's no going back. Think about it, Meri was the first wife. She's seen everything from the very beginning. She knows the brawls, the whispers, the betrayals, the backroom political maneuvering with producers, the favoritism, and the broken promises. If she ever unleashed her side in full, the world of Sister Wives would never be the same. And yet, she restrains herself. That silence is not weakness. It's a weapon. And in many ways, it's more frightening than Christine's book. Because a book has an ending. Silence? Silence is infinite. Silence is a cliffhanger that keeps everyone wondering. Silence makes people continue talking endlessly. Let's explore the psychology behind that silence. Why would Meri exercise restraint when Christine would opt for exposure? What does it reveal about their personalities, and what does it show about the actual war brewing behind closed doors? Keep listening, because in the war of words, the loudest voice isn't always the one speaking. It's the one that won't. The psychology of silence. Most people envision power as loud voices, aggressive words, and bold statements. But in the Sister Wives universe where each word can create headlines and each sentence can fuel round-the-clock argument, silence could be the most potent tool of all. Christine speaks. Christine writes books. Christine creates Instagram posts with snarky jabs that everyone knows are directed at Meri or Kody. And the fans adore her for it. She's honest, she's funny, she's open. She wears her heart on her sleeve. She opens up to you. But Meri? Meri prefers restraint. Meri prefers silence. She sits back, listens, and then delivers one or two well-chosen words that cut deeper than 1,000 Christine tell-alls. Consider the effect of a single word, unsafe. That one word caused more harm than a dozen chapters of Christine's book. Why? Because it makes us fill in the rest. Silence is potent because there are gaps. And what do we do with those gaps? Fans fill them with their own assumptions, suspicions, and dread. When Christine speaks her truth, the narrative feels finished. You know whom she accuses. You know how she felt about it. You know where she stands. But when Meri remains silent, we wonder, what's she not telling us? That wondering, that curiosity, that's where the tension lives. And here's where psychology comes in. Silence often signals one of three things: control. By not speaking, Meri controls the narrative in a way Christine never can. Christine's book is out there forever, her version of the truth is locked in print. But Meri's silence? It's flexible. She can still decide what to reveal, when, and how. That's ultimate power. Protection. Silence is a shield. For her. For the family. For the brand. By not speaking, Meri shields herself from backlash, fact-checking, or criticism. Christine exposed herself to both sympathy and doubt. Meri sidesteps both by speaking less. Punishment. This one is sneaky, but ruthless. Silence punishes the other party. When Christine talks and Meri does not reply, it leaves Christine yelling into thin air. It makes her seem like she's battling something that nobody can see. It sucks the energy out of her accusations. And have you noticed that Christine's words regarding Meri tend to sound like somebody talking to convince fans of something? She needs people to choose her side. She needs the validation. But Meri? She doesn't need your validation. She doesn't beg you to choose her side. She doesn't even offer you her own side. That's creepy. Because it makes us all think, what does she know and isn't telling us? This is why followers are divided so sharply. Half of them see Meri as icy and aloof, not even bothering to respond. The other half see her as subtly powerful, not even bothering to dignify Christine's charges. But let's not be coy, silence has a shadowy side as well. When someone refuses to talk, it can also be manipulative. It leaves the other party having to do all the heavy lifting. Christine, for instance, has put herself on the line by sharing her narrative. She's been criticized, judged, and dissected. Meri, on the other hand, sits back, says minimal amounts, but retains all the control. It's as much a psychological war as it is a family battle. Christine is fighting with a sword. Meri is fighting with a shadow. One cuts quickly, the other lingers forever. And here's the deeper truth, silence often means there are things too explosive to say. What if Meri's silence is protecting something we've never seen on camera? What if her silence hides secrets about Christine that fans would never believe? Supposing the word unsafe is the tip of an iceberg, and there is much more sinister news behind the story than has been detailed in Christine's book? Enthusiasts have begun speculating. Was Christine nastier than she claimed? Did she undermine Meri in secret? Did she seed stories, manipulate producers, or lead narratives down paths which made Meri out to be the bad guy? We don't know. We might never find out. Because Meri has all of those secrets locked up tight. And that brings us to the question that really matters, will Meri ever speak out? Because if she does, if she ever publishes her own book, sits for her own unguarded interview, or drops the facade entirely, the Christine versus Meri saga won't just be about a family dispute anymore. It will become a cultural explosion, one that could rewrite everything fans thought they knew about the Brown family. We're going to look at the receipts. Old clips, resurfaced interviews, hidden confessions that show the early cracks between Meri and Christine, and prove that this battle was brewing long before Christine walked away from Kody. Stay tuned. Because the truth has been hiding in plain sight for years. If you've been watching Sister Wives from the beginning, you can be sure of one thing, the Meri versus Christine drama didn't pop up overnight. It's been simmering for decades, buried in small remarks, snide glances, and harmless-looking conversations, until you examine them more closely. Let's return to the earlier seasons. Christine, the self-proclaimed fun wife, was usually the one who provided comic relief. She made jokes, diffused tension, and was beloved by fans for her effervescent personality. But if you were paying attention, there were fissures in that happy facade. One of the most notorious moments? Christine gleefully mocking Meri for having only one child. She poked fun, she joked, she minimized Meri's hurt, on national television. And while Christine was chuckling, you could see Meri's face fall. That wasn't funny. That was a dagger. And later, in a rare confession, Christine admitted she once told Meri she hoped she wouldn't get pregnant. Let's stop right here. Imagine the devastation of hearing that from someone you're supposed to share your life, your husband, and your family with. That's not a joke. That's cruelty disguised as honesty. That was one receipt. But there are more. In an old tell-all episode, Christine described Meri as controlling, harsh, and emotionally distant. She painted herself as the victim, but fans noticed that Christine's stories often left out her own cutting remarks, her manipulative side comments, and the way she undermined Meri's authority in the family. And if you watch the first seasons again, you'll see a pattern. Whenever Meri attempted to set boundaries about her house, her rules, or her space, Christine was the one who was usually the first to challenge them. She didn't respect them. She belittled them. She ensured Meri felt alone. And then there's the body language. Reddit fans have scrutinized frame by frame the older videos, noting how Christine's nice exchanges with Meri tended to carry an undertone, a smile, an arched eyebrow, a biting tone beneath a laugh. It's subtle, but it exists. And another doozy that they kept on the down low, an older video where Kody said Christine never liked Meri in the first place. He said, in his own words, that Christine and Meri were never close. They weren't compatible. They didn't trust each other. That's from Kody himself, the man at the center of it all. So when Christine released her book, painting herself as the long-suffering victim of Meri's coldness, many fans accepted it at face value. But the receipts tell a different story. They show a history of taunts, digs, and disrespect from Christine that she conveniently left out. And that brings us back to Meri's silence. Because Meri doesn't need to publish a book to prove her side. The footage already exists. The receipts are on tape. All she has to do is sit back and let the internet do the work. And fans are doing the work. New threads appear every week. Rewatching old shows. Little observations are pulled out and dissected. And again, every time, the image becomes clearer. Christine wasn't only the bubbly, humorous wife. She was also biting, sassy, and sometimes cruel. And so when Meri claims Christine is unsafe, the receipts support her. This is not paranoia. This is not bitterness. This is decades worth of evidence, all leading to the same conclusion. Christine was perhaps the fan favorite, but she was also the one eroding Meri from day one. But here's the actual twist: if the receipts confirm Christine was cruel to Meri, then why didn't Kody intervene? Why didn't he stand up for his first wife? Why did he let this tension fester for years, until it exploded in front of millions of fans? That's where the story takes an even darker turn. Because this isn't just Meri versus Christine. This is about Kody's role in letting the feud grow, and maybe even fueling it. We're going to dive straight into Kody's influence. Did he pit the wives against each other? Did he favor Christine in ways that made Meri feel abandoned? And did his silence play the same dangerous game as Meri's, weaponizing what wasn't said instead of what was? Stay tuned. Because Kody's fingerprints are all over this feud, and the receipts prove it. When people talk about the Meri versus Christine feud, it's easy to frame it as two women clashing over jealousy, personality differences, and old wounds. But come on, this war didn't begin out of thin air. At its epicenter was one individual, Kody Brown. And here's the painful reality: Kody not only didn't prevent the feud from breaking out, he stoked it. Let's go back. Meri was Kody's initial wife, the one who laid the groundwork, the one who shared the dream of plural marriage, who bore the burden of being the original. But when new wives came on the scene, particularly Christine, it changed. Kody's focus diluted, and all of a sudden Meri was not the center anymore. Viewers have seen it for years. Kody treated Christine in a different manner. He joked with her. He complimented her on being easygoing and fun. He freely admitted Christine relaxed the family. And with Meri? His body froze. His tone turned acerbic. He faulted her intensity, seriousness, her control. And this is where things get dirty. When one wife feels like she's not being supported, the others feel it. Christine knew Kody wasn't standing up for Meri. She knew he wasn't shielding her from jabs, taunts, or emotional loneliness. And rather than backing off, she leaned into it. That moment of infamy when Christine confessed she had told Meri she didn't hope she would become pregnant? Kody didn't denounce it. He dismissed it. He left it hanging in the air as if it wasn't a serious thing. But for Meri, it was crushing. And Kody's silence said it all. Kody's part in all this wasn't neutral. By refusing to intervene, by failing to set boundaries, he indirectly encouraged Christine's behavior. His favoritism became fuel. His laughter at Christine's jokes, even when they cut at Meri, told the whole family where his loyalties lay. And then came the ultimate betrayal. When Meri's relationship with Kody collapsed, instead of repairing it, he weaponized it. He told the world they had no relationship. He allowed cameras to roll as Meri wept, alone and forsaken. And throughout it all, Christine was set up as the tough, realistic one who ultimately walked away. But what of Meri? She was left bearing the tag of cold and difficult that Christine assisted in solidifying, but Kody nailed. Here's the deeper question: did Kody desire Meri and Christine to butt heads? Some fans are certain he did. By keeping his wives divided, he kept himself in charge. A broken home meant no one standing against him as a family. If Meri and Christine were fighting each other, they weren't standing up to Kody's choices. This hypothesis is stronger when you consider the timing. Whenever Meri and Christine exhibited tension, Kody appeared rather apathetic. He never tried to bring them together to mend. He never made peace. He allowed the hostility to sit there like a wound that never healed. And now, years later, we're seeing the consequences. Two women who not only dislike each other but openly admit they'll never have a relationship again. Two women scarred by decades of neglect, favoritism, and emotional warfare, all under Kody's roof. But here's the twist: Christine eventually left Kody. She broke free, found independence, and rebuilt her life. Meri, however, stayed longer, endured more, and held on even when Kody told her point blank there was no marriage left. So who truly suffered more under Kody's influence? Was it Christine, who endured years of pain before finally escaping? Or was it Meri, who stayed in the wreckage far longer, hoping for something that never returned? We're going to dig deeper into this question. Who did more to stoke the feud, Christine, with her insults and belittling, or Kody, with his favoritism and ignoring? And who caused the most scars on Meri's life? Tune in. Because the answer may surprise you, and it may shift the way you view the whole Brown family dynamic. For years now, Sister Wives fans have been arguing over the feud between Meri and Christine. Was it simply conflicting personalities? Jealousy? Something more? We know by now the gory details on the surface. Christine confesses to bullying Meri, ridiculing her for having just one child, and even stating she hoped Meri wouldn't become pregnant. That in itself was cruel and sliced deep into Meri's most sensitive wound. But this is where the drama erupts. As Christine gave the verbal jabs, Kody made the atmosphere where these hurtful words flourished. Break this down. Christine's damage. Christine has freely confessed to being two-faced, cheerful and friendly on the surface, but gossiping or ridiculing in private. That established a poisonous culture where Meri never knew if she could trust her. Envision living in the very same house, raising kids side by side, but never knowing, is she laughing with me, or at me? Christine's taunts about fertility weren't just petty, they cut into Meri's identity as a wife and mother. For Meri, who only had one child and faced struggles with infertility, those words were daggers. They reinforced her biggest insecurity, making her feel less than in a family already full of children. Christine also played into the group dynamic. She aligned herself with Janelle, later with Robyn, and ultimately with the kids. Meri was cast as the cold one, the strict one, the one who wasn't fun. That isolation wasn't accidental, it was Christine staking her territory. But now let's turn to Kody's damage. While Christine taunted, Kody abandoned. While Christine mocked, Kody humiliated. While Christine drew lines, Kody erased Meri's place altogether. He admitted publicly, on camera, that he had no romantic relationship with Meri. He informed the world he didn't love her, that their marriage was basically over. Picture the betrayal of your husband stating that not only in private, but to millions of people. And worse? When Christine and Meri argued, Kody hardly ever stood up for Meri. He joked with Christine, dismissed her remarks, and allowed the chasm to infect. That silence wasn't being neutral, it was enabling. By not stepping in, he sent a message to the whole family that Meri was on her own. So the question is, who hurt Meri more? Christine inflicted the personal wounds, sarcasm, gossip, insults. But Kody gave the platform for those wounds to fall repeatedly. Some fans say that Christine's cruelty could be survived, but Kody's rejection was devastating. It's bad to be shut away by a co-wife, but to be left behind by the man you've built a life with? That crumbles the foundation completely. Other people have said that Christine's injuries went deeper because they were ongoing, close-in, and deliberate. In contrast to Kody, who merely distanced himself, Christine remained in Meri's sphere and reminded her, day after day, that she didn't have a place. Here's the chilling truth, maybe it wasn't one or the other. Maybe the real damage was in the combination. Christine's words stripped Meri's confidence, while Kody's rejection stripped her value. Together, they left her emotionally stranded, trapped in a family where no one had her back. And now, years later, Meri herself says Christine is unsafe. That's not casual language. It signifies the betrayal, the gossip, the distrust, it all left indelible scars. But look at what she doesn't do. She doesn't label Kody unsafe. She doesn't even use hateful words. What she does do, instead, is quietly endure the failure of their marriage, rather like she's accepted it. That contrasts starkly. Meri can view Christine as a live wound, while she views Kody as a lost cause. And that might be the most heartbreaking revelation of all. We'll dig into why Meri's blunt honesty and willingness to own her flaws make her stand apart from Christine. And why many fans now see Meri as more real than the bubbly positivity Christine hides behind. If you've been following this drama, you've probably noticed a sharp contrast between these two women. Meri is blunt, guarded, and often accused of being cold, while Christine comes across bubbly, cheerful, and endlessly positive. But here's the kicker, many fans now argue that Meri's so-called coldness was actually authentic honesty, while Christine's smiles masked something far darker, a pattern of toxicity hidden under a bright exterior. Let's break it down. Meri's brutal honesty. From the start, Meri never beat around the bush. If she was upset, you could tell. When she didn't see eye to eye with Kody or the other wives, she told you. Fans sometimes called her icy or hard to relate to, but consider this. At least you always knew where you stood with Meri. In a dynamic based on secrets, jealousy, and unspoken grudges, such honesty was in fact not common. Meri wasn't being insincere. She wasn't putting on a smile for the cameras. If she didn't get along with you, you knew it. If she was wounded, you could tell. That kind of openness was uncomfortable, but authentic. Christine's toxic positivity. Let's turn the tables now. Christine, the fun mom, the light of the family, the one perpetually giggling and playing with the children. She was the peacekeeper, the bright, sunny glue that held the home together on the surface. In the shadows, Christine herself acknowledged she was a hypocrite. She said she'd gossiped, belittled, and brought down Meri while keeping up her sunny facade. That positivity wasn't innocent, it was a disguise. A means of smiling on your face as they stab you in the back. That's what the term toxic positivity refers to. When a person demands to be positive and cheerful at any expense, even when said cheerfulness conceals cruelty or glosses over actual pain. Christine's relentless brightness rendered it almost impossible for Meri to confront her without appearing bitter or envious. And that's precisely how the story went. The fan divide, fans loyal to Christine for years. She was witty, down-to-earth, easy to love. Meri was cold, biting, and difficult to like. But as more of the truth surfaced, the tables have turned. Folks are beginning to realize that Meri's candor could have been the healthier dynamic the entire time. Consider this: which would you prefer? Someone who is brutally honest with their emotions, even if it hurts? Or someone who smiles sweetly but silently destroys you? This is why a lot of fans now feel sympathetic to Meri like never before. Her honesty was not warm but real. Christine's cheer was apparently warm but manipulative. The secret price of happiness: Christine's cheerful demeanor tended to leave Meri the villain of the family and even the audience. If Meri resorted, she was unfriendly. If Christine smiled, she could be sympathized with. That made a falsehood a reality, one in which Meri appeared to be the issue, and Christine was privately causing the trouble. And here's where it gets chilling: Christine admitted her behavior was rooted in insecurity. She felt threatened by Meri, so instead of owning those feelings, she cloaked them in cheerfulness and passive-aggressive digs. That kind of positivity isn't harmless, it's poison. It erodes trust, destroys relationships, and gaslights the people around you. Meri's redemption arc: today, Meri stands in stark contrast to her old image. Fans admire her as a woman who, imperfections and all, has never been afraid to be herself. She's starting over, holding on to her independence, and not playing nice for show. That sort of authenticity is striking a chord now more than ever, particularly as Christine's fun mom facade cracks in the eyes of longtime viewers. And this raises the ultimate question: was Meri ever really the cold one, or was she just the honest one living in a family that couldn't handle the truth? We'll expose the shocking power shift: how Christine, once the underdog wife, quietly became the queen of the family, while Meri was pushed further and further into exile. Every family has unspoken hierarchies. In Sister Wives, that ranked system wasn't official, but with time, it became as clear as day. And here's the bombshell: though Meri was the first wife, the legal wife, the original foundation, she quietly faded into obscurity. At the same time, Christine, who initially felt inadequate and neglected, became the queen bee of the family. How did that power transition occur? Meri's early advantage: in the beginning, Meri had what no other wife had: Kody's legal bond, his emotional focus, and his trust. She was the one who helped establish the family structure, who set rules, and who carried the first wife authority. Christine and Janelle were expected to fall in line, and for years, they did. But that authority came with a cost. Meri's strictness and directness often isolated her from the others. While she was trying to maintain control, the younger wives were forming alliances, laughing together, raising their kids together, bonding over shared frustrations. Slowly, Meri's position as first wife turned into a role of isolation. Christine's transformation: at first, Christine admitted she was jealous and insecure. She felt threatened by Meri, who seemed to have more influence and control. But rather than crumbling beneath that insecurity, Christine armed herself with it. She became the party mom. The smiling wife. The one who was always free for the children, for the cameras, for the public. And smiling and baking cookies along the way, she forged silent alliances. She connected with Janelle. She gained over the children. And little by little, she reshaped the family narrative: Meri was cold, Christine was warm. The turning point, the real shift, came when Meri's personal struggles, her infertility, her loneliness, and eventually her catfishing scandal, became public. Christine seized that moment, whether consciously or not, to rise in status. While Meri was painted as broken, Christine became the relatable, fun-loving underdog. Viewers rooted for her. The kids adored her. Even Kody leaned into her energy more than Meri's heaviness. It was subtle, but undeniable: Christine was climbing while Meri was falling. The queen of the family. By the time Christine left the marriage, she wasn't just another wife, she was the most beloved wife. Fans cheered for her independence. The children openly sided with her. Even Janelle followed her lead. In every sense, Christine was de facto queen of the Brown Empire. Her opinion was heard, her judgments influenced the family, and her departure rattled the very foundation. Meri, on the other hand, had been pushed to the periphery for so long that her withdrawal hardly made an impact in the same manner. She'd been sent into exile years ago before she slipped out the door. The price of power. But here's the thing. Christine's rise to power came at a cost. It was built, in part, on Meri's downfall. By aligning herself against Meri, through gossip, taunts, and alliances, Christine elevated her own image. But that also means her rise is forever tied to Meri's pain. And that's where the story stings the most. The woman who once mocked Meri for being childless, the woman who admitted she was two-faced, became the fan favorite. Meanwhile, the woman who started it all, who gave her life to the marriage first, was left on the outside looking in. The tragic exile. Today, Meri's exile isn't just about leaving Kody, it's about losing her place entirely. She's no longer seen as part of the sisterhood. She's no longer seen as a mother figure to the wider family. She's not even seen, by Christine, as safe. That kind of exile cuts deeper than divorce, it's erasure. And it begs the ultimate question, was Christine's rise always destined to happen, or did Meri's isolation make it inevitable? We'll bring this saga to its breaking point, the final collapse of trust, and why Meri's painful honesty about Christine may be the most shocking revelation of the entire Sister Wives story. Every long-running story has a breaking point, and in the saga of Meri versus Christine, that moment came when the fragile threads of trust snapped once and for all. Meri attempted to live alongside Christine for years, even when the gossiping, teasing, and insecurity cut deep. But when Christine finally confessed her real feelings, the facade of sisterhood crashed, and Meri was left with a harsh realization. Let's go back to what Christine revealed. She outrightly said she was two-faced. She confessed that she laughed along with Meri, but she tore her apart behind her back. She admitted to teasing Meri over her infertility difficulties. And she didn't disavow that she joined forces with others against Meri, isolating her within her own family. For Meri, that wasn't only painful, it was confirmation. Confirmation that the space she always sensed wasn't in her head. That the rumors behind her back weren't paranoia. That the friendship she believed she enjoyed with Christine was never secure. The final straw, so when Meri recently asserted Christine is unsafe, it wasn't a flippant remark. It was the end of decades of betrayal. Unsafe doesn't equate to, I don't like her. Unsafe means, this individual can't be trusted with my heart, my secrets, or my presence. In a plural marriage, trust is the sole thing that makes survival possible. Without it, every relationship collapses like a house of cards. And that's exactly what happened here. The hidden role of Kody, but while Christine was the direct source of so much of Meri's pain, Kody's role can't be ignored. He allowed the conflict to grow. He didn't defend Meri when Christine mocked her. He didn't step in when divisions deepened. In fact, his rejection of Meri only validated Christine's hostility. When the patriarch abandons one wife emotionally, the others take note. Meri became expendable in Kody's eyes, and Christine capitalized on that shift in power. The collapse of trust wasn't just between two women, it was systemic, fueled by the man who should have protected both. Meri's revelation, and here's where the story turns heartbreaking but powerful. Rather than lash out in bitterness, Meri has opted for brutal honesty. She doesn't sugarcoat that Christine is safe. She doesn't soften her pain. She says it straight out, even when it makes her the cold one. That brutal honesty is her last rebellion. For decades, Meri has been colored as the villain. She's revising her story. She's not perfect, she's not warm, but she's authentic. And in a family founded on pretense, maybe that's the boldest decision of all. The Feud legacy, Christine may have become a fan favorite, but her legacy will forever be haunted by how she treated Meri. And Meri? Her banishment from the family may have been her greatest freedom. She no longer has to play the game, smile for the cameras, or pretend her sisterhoods were real. The breakdown of trust hurt, but it liberated Meri. Liberated to own her truth. Liberated to walk away from poison bonds. Liberated to now start a life where she does not have to question whether the laughter behind her is laughing at her pain. And that is the last revelation. Sometimes the worst betrayals are also the most obvious solutions. Meri does not require Christine's validation, or Kody's love, or even the sisterhood's approval. She requires her own truth. And for the first time in decades, she finally has it.